Okay,
I'm ready, baby. I'm ready. I'm teaching you the really backs. I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you. I'm
Well,
teaching
see,
you,
I
bro.
can't wait.
You
Biggest
know, it's
fight that you've
bullshit,
ever
man. Let's go
got
to
that
the
you're
back.
ever gonna
Man,
get.
hey,
All
man,
your managers are
I
giving you
teach.
more money than you.
Okay.
How does that feel? I thought the managers are with you. I thought the people were with you. How your fucking managers making more money than you?
David Benavidez and David Morrell come face to face in a thrilling virtual showdown, setting the stage for their epic title fight on February 1st. David Benavidez says Morrell was talking big before, but now he's quiet and nervous. He mocks him for not backing up his talk.
All this and that I'm a RoboCop, that he's gonna knock me out, that I don't have nothing. But now look at him, he's scared, he don't have shit to say. What's up with all that you were saying? How come you're not saying all that now? He's there, you can't even talk, he's all freaking, he's all nervous.
Benavidez says he's never been accused of using steroids, but claims Morrell has been accused by others. He says they ensured through drug testing for this fight to keep everything clean and fair.
Not no more, because we're on his ass with the Baden testing. But look I'm not gonna say nothing, just look at the track record. I've never been accused by anybody by using steroids. He's been accused by few people using steroids. So that's all I'm going to say. What we did this camp is we make sure that no sneaky business is going on and all fighters are being tested. We're advocates for clean boxing, and there's not going to be no sneaky shit here because we make sure of it.
David Morrell says he's clean and doesn't care about the accusations. He credits his power to training and says people will see it after the fight.
Man, I'm clean. You know, I'm clean. Like, Hano can do it talking insane. I mean, I'm clean, bro. You know,
you can't even say that with a straight face, though.
Every time
David Morrell says people doubt him and accuse him of doping, but it's just because of his natural power. He believes that after the fight, everyone will see his strength is real. He dismisses the accusations and says he's clean.
A lot of people, every fight, talking shit, they say him, and not come out and the fight is talking, say no. It's Davis, it's doping, it's David Esteroid. Why? Bro, he's training. Has power. You know has power. Everybody fight you, and anybody say no. David Esteroid. You know nothing, bro. You know what I mean? So after the fight, everybody say no. It's Esteroid. You know, because female really power, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you make the fighters take data and then you don't take data.
That's it's no excuse, bro. I'm clean. I'm just clean.
David Benavidez says he's focused on ensuring the fight is clean with proper drug testing. He states he's never been associated with steroids and emphasizes the importance of clean boxing for this big fight.
I don't know, but we put everything in place to make sure that there's bad testing in this. Like I said, my name has never been associated with steroids. I can't say the same about everybody else. But right here, we got this big fight. We're gonna make sure that there's clean boxing involved, and we got the VADA test and all that.
David Benavidez says the fight is personal because it's the biggest fight of their careers. He wants to prove himself by putting a beating on Morrell and sending a message to everyone.
It has to be personal because this is the biggest fight of both of our lives. This is going to get the most out of me, and this is what people want to see. They want to see people two going at it that don't like each other. You know, and I'm not lying about anything I'm saying. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to put a beating on this guy because this is what I want to do. You know, this is my time, and this is a message for everybody, letting them know what time it is.
David Morrell says the fight isn't personal for him. He describes Benavidez as a simple guy and doesn't understand why Benavidez is stressed. Morrell dismisses the drama, calling it stupid.
You know, it's easy, so I don't need that personal. I mean, in Miami, it's a little bit time, you know. I'm flying this moment right now, like come back Houston, you know, to my training camp, focus. I say, bro.
He focuses only on what's inside the ring and doesn't care about anything outside of it.
Bro, why you stress? I mean, Benavidez is like the simple guy, so you know what I mean. And it's not personal. I mean, my only person is inside the ring, me and him. You know, like outside the ring, I don't care. I mean, you know, it's stupid. Like, why I thank him, my man, for this stupid shit. You know what I mean? So
Morrell continues talking about how Benavidez talks too much, saying he'll beat him in the fight. He promises to deliver a serious defeat to Benavidez.
The only I say is, I mean, bro, for real, I'm killing you, man. Promise you. I mean, you every time you talking shit, every time you say like you're the monster, blah blah blah. You know, you say no, but David Morrell, you are blah blah blah. Okay, you know, you're talking whatever you do. I mean, February 1st, bro, kicking you ass. Promise you.
David Benavidez says the talking is done and he's ready for the fight. He confidently says that Morrell will see him in his nightmares and that he'll be waiting for him in the ring.
This fight is not made in its distance. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to hurt David Morrell as much as possible. I'm going to hurt him as more than anybody's ever hurt him and more than anybody will hurt him. You know, he's always going to remember this fight, and he's never going to forget David Benavidez after this fight.
David Morrell says he's 100% sure he'll win the fight, whether by knockout or judge's decision. He believes he has the skills and conditions needed to come out on top.
I'm 100% convinced that I'm gonna win this fight. I don't care which way I win it, if I knock him out or if it's after the final bout with the judges. I know I have all the conditions and the skill needed to come out on top on February 1st.
Buddy McGirt explains that while David Morrell is a good boxer, the fight will get interesting after a few rounds. He notes that Benavidez tends to take a few rounds to get going, but once he figures out his opponent's rhythm, his 20-punch combinations will create significant problems for Morrell.
I think it's going to be an interesting fight, man. I think that both guys are really going to be tested because, you know, Morrell's a good boxer. But I think that the later rounds is really going to tell. Because, you know, Benavidez, it takes him a few rounds to get going. But once he gets going and he figures out your rhythm, you got problems. Once you start letting those 20-punch combinations go, you got problems. You know what I mean? So it's going to be an interesting fight.
McGirt compares the first few rounds to a chess match, where both fighters will feel each other out. He predicts that after the 5th round, the fight will intensify, as one fighter will figure out the other's strategy, and the real action will begin.
I was going to, you know, Morrell's got a great, a great style for, you know, southpaw. He boxes well. He's got my man Ronnie Shields in his corner. I know Ronnie's going to have him ready, but Benavidez always comes in ready. So it's going to be, I think after the 5th round, that's when the fight's really going to get interesting. The first 4 or 5, it's going to be more like a chess match. After the 5th round, somebody's going to have somebody figured out, and that's when it's going to get hot in the kitchen.
Benavidez Sr. says David's in top shape, both physically and mentally. He's super motivated, especially with a baby coming. His training's intense, and his focus is at an all-time high. Benavidez Sr. feels David's on a whole different level than Morrell.
Yeah, like you said, you know, this is the toughest fight. You know, I believe that David Morrell's a great fighter. You know, he had a really good pedigree in amateur. You know, he's a 2-time world champion. You know, young, strong. A lot of people don't want to fight him, you know, and but, you know, there's levels to this shit, you know. Boxing David, I believe that he's in another level. I think David, you know, is going to stop him maybe like in the 9-10 round. Maybe if he would have just hold on a little bit more like about a year or two. He's a dangerous fighter, though. You know, we're not underestimating him. You know, David's training super hard. David right now is super motivated, mentally, physically.
Benavidez Sr. says Morrell lacks the experience for a fight at this level. He thinks David's speed and power will be too much. He's sure David will stop him, saying Morrell's never faced anyone like David. Benavidez Sr. believes David's aggression and rhythm will be the key to winning.
At the end of the day, like I say, he's a great fighter, good fighter, but he's never been in a fight or atmosphere like this level right now. He's getting nervous right now. He's nervous. He wanted this fight. Now he's talking a lot of shit. He's mad. You know, what the f-? You know, he should be happy. So we're super motivated. You know, David's super focused. And these are the type of fights that we need. At the end of the day, you know, he has everything to gain. We have nothing to gain out of this fight, you know. We have everything to lose, nothing to gain, you know. But at the end of the day, it's a great fight for the people. People wanted to see this fight. And
Benavidez Sr. brings up Morrell's trash talk and emotional reactions, like throwing the belt at David. He says Morrell's starting to get nervous as the fight gets closer.
That's what I'm saying, you know, when you get these fights and you feel the pressure and now you're like, what the f did I do? And all his team, they you know, they're all nervous, you know, because I think they made a mistake to put him too early.
Benavidez Sr. is confident David will dominate Morrell and thinks it could hurt Morrell's career. He points out that every fighter David's faced before has struggled after, and he believes Morrell will be no different.
And I like that he's saying that David's a RoboCop, but he forgot to mention, yeah, he is a RoboCop AI. You know, he's not gonna see those fucking punches coming. You know, David throws a lot of punches, very aggressive, and everybody knows what he could do. You know, when he gets his rhythm. So I'm happy that he's thinking that way. because, man, he has no idea what's coming to him.
David Benavidez says his pro experience is a bigger factor than Morrell's amateur background. He admits Morrell might have an edge in the first few rounds, but those early rounds won't matter in a 12-round fight. He also mentions his experience in big pay-per-view events gives him an edge, and he's confident Morrell hasn't faced anyone like him at this level.
I mean, I don't really see the amateur as any, I don't see that as, this is not an amateur fight. This is a professional, this is this championship fight, 12 rounds. So, I mean, he might have an advantage, the first 3 rounds, because of the amateurs. But, I mean, other than that, 3 rounds don't mean nothing. To me, I've been in there with the better fighters. I've been in there in the bigger venues, bigger fights. This is my 3rd pay-per-view, 3rd or 4th. So, I mean, I have the experience on my side, so it's going to be different. I don't think he's ever been in anything like this caliber.
David responds to Morrell's antics, saying he doesn't care about them. He believes Morrell is just showing nervous energy because he knows he's in over his head. David mentions that after facing him, other fighters have realized he's on a different level, and he's focused on proving that again in this fight.
I don't really care about his antics and none of that. To me, all that stuff from him is nervous energy. He knew he bit off a big portion that he can't chew, you know what I mean? And he can say anything he wants. He could act like that I'm RoboCop, like how's he saying that, but at the end of the day, I know exactly what I could do. Every other fighter that I've fought, every high caliber fighter has said the same thing.
David talks about the timing of drug testing for his upcoming fight, saying in past fights like against Caleb Plant, testing started right after the contract was signed. For this fight, testing started later, which he feels isn't enough. He stresses his commitment to clean boxing, mentioning he's been tested over 40 times and is pushing for more testing to make sure everything's fair.
When you go through other fighters that say, hey, I was tested by VADA, but then David Morrell was not tested, it brings a lot of questions up, you know what I mean? I'm not the only fighter that says this. There's been 2 other fighters that say this. They say that David Morrell, we're talking about a Betco, they say he was tested the whole camp, David Morrell was not tested, and after the fight, they didn't do no test, no drug test, which is kind of odd to me, but I really don't care about that. Even if it was on steroids, I'd beat the shit out of him.
David stresses the need for more drug testing in boxing, especially for his upcoming fight. He highlights his push for increased testing and believes any fighter using steroids or cheating will be exposed. He emphasizes the importance of integrity and fairness in the sport.
It's not good for people, to use steroids, so I'm not gonna let that shit slide.
What's the status of that right now, the testing? What is being used?
What?
What is the status of the testing right now? Like, what is being used?
We're being tested because I keep putting pressure on VADA, saying that we got to test. And it's supposed to be the
interim for WBC?
WBC and then WBA.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, but at the end of the day, these are the high caliber fights that need testing. When I fought Caleb Plant, when I fought Demetrius Andre, we were testing 14 weeks out.
David stresses he's not asking for anything he hasn't already done himself, mentioning he's been tested over 40 times. He reiterates his commitment to clean boxing and making sure the sport is fair, pushing for proper testing to prevent any unfair advantages.
And it's not like I'm asking stuff that I didn't do myself. I mean, I've been tested more than VADA by anybody. I've been tested more than anybody. By VADA by anybody. I've been tested over probably 40 times. So it's not like I'm telling them to do something I didn't do myself. You know what I mean? When I fought Caleb Plant, they wanted to test as soon as we signed the contract. So it's not like I'm asking them to do anything, and then for them to act like, we're making them do something that they're not supposed to do. We're supposed to take VADA tests. It's supposed to be clean boxing. Isn't that why VADA's in boxing?
Jose Benavidez Jr. is sure David will win the fight. He's seen the opponent and doesn't think he's anything special. David's been training hard, always improving, and right now, he's unbeatable. Jose also points out that from the interviews and face-offs, the opponent doesn't seem confident.
I don't think it's going to be hard at all, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to be no challenge.
So you got him.
You gotta understand this. They say he has power. Okay, he might have power, but my brother was sparring Triple G at his prime. Triple G was stopping everybody.
Jose talks about Morrell's power, saying Morrell might have power, but David's faced stronger fighters like Triple G. Jose adds that the opponent's punches are easy to see coming because he telegraphs them, so David will be ready.
So,
Kelly Pavlik.
Yeah, so Kelly Pavlik had fucking power. All these guys. the end of the day, power. I feel like this guy shows his punches too much. He shows when he loads up when he's gonna throw his big punch. And when you load up like that, you can see the punch coming. You get ready for it. So it's always a punch that you don't see coming when that hurts.
Jose addresses Morrell's comments about David not being as offensive due to fear of Morrell's power. He says he doesn't pay attention to social media and hasn't heard these comments until now. Jose believes that once the fight starts, everything changes and Morrell's words won't matter. He's confident David will perform well in the ring.
When you get in the ring, it's a different story. Everything changes. Everything's different. So, I mean, like I said, I don't take nothing from him. He can say what he wants to say, but when it comes fight night, he's gonna bite his own word, you know.
Demetrius Andrade talks about the Benavidez versus Morrell fight, calling it a 50-50 matchup. He mentions Morrell lacks the same experience as Benavidez. Andrade also points out Benavidez's long arms, making him tough to hit. He says Morrell's punches are wild, but could improve with time.
1 or 2 of his fights, I was like, okay, he's a big kid. He got some decent speed, but he's a little wild with his punches. You know, that comes with experience, of course, when he'll start tightening it up. Is he tight right now to be able? Because David does have a good. His arms are long. Listen, his arms are long to me. You know what I'm saying? Morrell's bigger than me, so he might have long. But when you're throwing punches at him, his arms are so long. It's so tough to hit him, especially if you're coming off wide. You got to really pinpoint the shots with David. I don't know if Morrell has that in him.
Jesus Ramos says Morrell's talented with solid amateur experience, but needs more pro experience. He noted Morrell showed frustration in his last fight and needs to face tougher opponents to get better at handling tough rounds.
But I just feel like he's lacking the experience, you know, that Benavidez already has. He fought Andrade, he fought Caleb Plant. Those are tough guys, man, and he beat them. And Morrell, you know, he's extremely talented. He's got a lot of amateur experience, but I still feel like, I think he kind of showed it in that last fight where he needs that pro experience.
Jesus says Morrell needs more pro experience, especially against tricky fighters who can take him into the later rounds. He gives the edge to Benavidez, thinking he'll win in the later rounds, even if Morrell starts strong.
He needs a tricky, cagey guy to take him some rounds, because he got a little frustrated there, you know, in that last fight. So I still feel like he lacks that experience. And I feel like Benavidez has been there and he has done that. So I think that I give the edge to Benavidez in that aspect. And I feel like Morrell might come out strong, but I see Benavidez edging that out in the later rounds.
David says he's been training hard and that this fight is what people want to see, with real beef between the fighters. He feels it's a huge fight for him, probably the biggest, and the tension makes for a better story.
I've been, you know, training extremely hard, and these are the type of fights I want, because these are the type of fights that people want to see. They want to see real animosity, and they really want to see two people that don't like each other go against each other.
David says the tension is real, and both he and his opponent genuinely don't like each other. He thinks it makes the fight more exciting and sees it as a great opportunity, calling it one of his biggest fights yet.
You know, it's been going good. You know, even on the promotional side, you know, it's even better because none of this stuff is fake. Yeah. I really don't like him, and he doesn't like me, and that just it makes for a better story for the fight. And yeah, man, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, I kind of have this attitude. You know, I feel like I kind of have to have this attitude towards everybody, because at the end of the day, everybody's trying to come in there and take what I have, and I'm not going to let that happen.
David talks about how Morrell's trash talking got to him. He usually stays calm, but admits that sometimes things get under his skin. He understands this kind of stuff happens and accepts it.
What me more about everything is that he has a big mouth. You know, he talks a lot of stuff, and you know, if you see me, you know, I really don't get out of character a lot, but you know, it's fine. You know, sometimes I understand that this is going to happen. And, you know, sometimes people are going to get under my skin.
David says his experience in high-level fights will help him in this match. He's faced tougher opponents before and can go hard for 12 rounds. His volume and intensity pick up as the fight goes on, and he's confident he can break down his opponent's style.
Boxers that move around a lot, that try to use the whole ring, and I've fought with brawlers that just try to sit there and brawl the whole fight. So I kind of know, I already have a game plan. I know exactly what I need to do. It's just for me to really establish my game plan and then just stay committed to the game plan. And I feel like once I do all my game plan right, the knockout is going to come on its own.
David adds that David Morrell is a tough fighter with good movement and a solid jab. He believes once he gets inside, he'll dominate.
You know, I'm very excited. I'm very motivated. You know, I know exactly what I could do. I know David Morrell, he's a tough opponent. You know, he moves around a lot. He boxes. He has a good jab. He has long arms. But, you know, at the end of the day, none of that is going to mean anything. Once I get inside and get my offense started, there's not going to be anything he could do to stop me.
Benavidez talks about almost canceling the fight with Morrell because there was no testing for weeks. He kept asking when testing would start, but they kept saying next week. Once he threatened to cancel, Vada showed up the next day. Benavidez also says at the press conference Morrell looked shocked when steroids were brought up, and his trainer quickly took the mic from him.
Testing 14 weeks out. Andrade, same 13, 14 weeks out, start testing. Because they wanted to test me because they said I was dirty, supposedly. Or if they thought I was doing cocaine or whatever it is. I tested, I did whatever. So then when I get this fight with David Morrell, you know, we knew about it months before, like 4 months already. I had told them, you know, I'm not asking stuff that hasn't been done, but when are we gonna get the test? They kept saying next week. And so I told them, I'm like, bro, well, how the f are we not testing when I heard that he takes steroids? And, you know, we're already on week 9. No testing. I told him, bro, I'm going to cancel this whole fight.
Benavidez points out how weird it is that Morrell wasn't tested regularly, especially with a big fight ahead. He feels proper testing is crucial for high-profile matches, and the lack of it raises suspicions.
When I was talking, when I brought up steroids and said what I just told you right now, Morrell took his glasses off, in my opinion, in a form of shock. Like, oh, he just said that. And then Luis Cuba Sr. grabs the mic, gets up and starts yelling. And then after that, they left. That already, for me, if somebody tells me I'm taking steroids, I'm speaking up right away. Like, man, f you, I'm not taking no steroids. What are you talking about? David Morrell didn't say shit. Luis Cuba Sr. took the microphone away from him, and he started talking for him. You know what I mean? I don't know what they were planning, or they have some sneaky shit going on, but they're not going to play that with me.
Benavidez mentions he's been tested over 30 times, while Morrell hasn't been tested as much. He finds it suspicious and feels something's off, especially with how important the fight is.
I'm getting tested every single week, but if I would have let it be, what if something would have happened, and then on the 3rd week, oh, now it's bad at test, you know what I mean? And this is what these people do, bro. They take steroids in week 8, week 9. They train, that shit gets flushed, and by the time they get to week 3, they bring in the testers. Oh, now it's time to test when there's no steroids in there no more.
Morrell addresses the accusations without directly responding, making it clear he doesn't make excuses. He doesn't engage with the suspicions others have raised about him being a clean fighter.
They do because they haven't fought against anybody that's really at their level. And when they do end up about to face someone at their level, then they start to say things like that oh, the doping this or something else that's, you know, like beyond the pale.
David Morrell says he and his team don't make excuses. He believes other fighters who haven't faced top-level opponents make excuses when they fight someone like him because they can't handle the challenge.
The pale, and then because it's a no-lose situation for them, where if they lose, they say, oh, it's doping this, doping that. If they won, oh, I was just the better fighter. So I would just tell them, train as hard as you can, train strong, because, you know, that's all you're gonna be able to do against me. And in the end, the better fighter is gonna win.
Morrell says when fighters face real competition and lose, they blame things like doping, claiming that's why they lost. But if they win, they just say they were the better fighter. He sees it as a way for them to cover up their lack of preparation or skill when facing someone at a higher level.
Lo que pasa con ellos es que toda su vida están adaptados a pelear con boxeadores que no le exigen. Y cuando llega uno que verdaderamente le exige, pues la única excusa que tienen es esa, que si es doping, que si pasa esto, que si pasa lo otro. Igual que cuando tienen miedo también empiezan a sacar como que a buscar excusas de todos lados, como iremos en Cuba, poniendo el parche de que caiga la botera. Para en todo caso que pierdan, no, hay que hacerle prueba de doping, hay que hacerle prueba de esto. Si gana, no ganeo porque soy el mejor. O sea, son estrategias que ya están pasadas de moda, pero bueno, nosotros no tenemos excusa.
Sena Agbeko points out that even though there were concerns about PEDs, Morrell wasn't tested before their fight, but he was. He questions why Morrell's team wasn't tested and why they didn't push for it, suggesting something might be off. He also says the boxing system is messed up, with businessmen more focused on making money than ensuring fair competition.
There is some sort of sense of suspicion.
Of course. Yes, of course, there is a sense of suspicion because of, I mean, the thing is, even in the fight in Vegas, he had acne all on his back, on his face and everything. And Benavidez fought Jose Benavidez. He was present when I fought Morrell in Minnesota. So, of course, you know, these were concerns that I brought up, I raised with, and he actually was in my corner, was in my locker room as well, because he had Valenzuela at the time fighting Chris Colbert. So we had, you know, we really had a good time, a lot of time to really talk and, you know, really get to know each other. And I brought up that issue at the time too. And I think that he's very well aware of what, you know, being on enhancements can do for you, and that's why he's very much concerned. And
Caleb Plant breaks down Benavidez and Morrell's styles. Says Benavidez is aggressive with solid combos, while Morrell's more strategic and calculated. Plant's excited for the fight, thinks the style clash will make it a fun matchup.
You know, their styles are different. Southpaw, right-handed, you know, one puts their punches together very well, and so does David Morrell, but he's a little more crafty. Well, he's a little more maybe passive in his approach. You know, I'll say that. And but that's a big fight. You know, that's one I'm excited for. So.
Tim Bradley thinks Morrell's still too green. He wasn't impressed with Morrell's last performance and doubts he's ready for top contenders. Bradley favors Benavidez, pointing to his ability to switch between pressure and effective boxing.
I think Morrell still needs a little bit more seasoning, to be honest with you. I wasn't too fond of his last fight.
It's part of why I'm favoring Benavidez. Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't too fond. You know, Benavidez can do a little bit of everything. We only see him as being the pressure type of assassin type of guy, you know, throwing quick combinations and really, you know, just stepping on the gas and squashing guys. But, you know, he can move and box if he wants to as well.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more exciting content. Stay tuned for the big fight between Benavidez and Morrell.